Just one tiny piece. That was all it took. To save humanity 120 milligrams. That small amount changed the fate of the world. Nobody believed it at first. Not the American doctors, not the pharmaceutical companies, not even the media. But when hospitals across the United States started overflowing with patients suffering from a mysterious brain inflammation, when people collapsed in the streets of New York, when obesity, memory loss, and violent inflammation spread faster than anyone could explain, the entire world became desperate. And that was when the phone call came not to Washington, not to Silicon Valley, but to a small fermentation research lab in Changwon, South Korea. Please help us. That red liquid you have, it may be the only cure. Left what they were asking for was kimchi, broth, yes, kimchi. The same food, quietly, sitting beside rice bowls, on Korean dinner tables, for thousands of years. But this was never just a side dish. Kimchi carried something much deeper. The patience of Korean mothers, the wisdom of generations, the breath of all 4 seasons, the survival instincts of a nation that endured war, hunger, and poverty. Inside that red, fermented cabbage was living medicine, a natural antibiotic, a complete nutritional food, a living ecosystem. And now, humanity needed it to survive. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment, Korea Kimchi, fighting! Now let me tell you, the story the world almost never heard.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jin-cheol Park. For 30 years, I worked in national security and biosecurity protection. I spent most of my life protecting secrets, government systems, military, networks, research facilities. But nothing prepared me for what happened in May of 2026. May 11th, 9 a.m., the warning alarms inside our Changwon research lab suddenly turned bright red. One after another, the sirens kept ringing again 32 times. At first, thought it was another cyber attack, but then I looked at the security monitor and my blood froze. Times Square, New York City, hundreds of people were collapsing. On the streets, some screamed in pain while holding their heads. Others could barely breathe. Many had swollen faces and empty eyes. Nobody understood what was happening. Then my phone vibrated. One voice message. My daughter Min-seo, Dad, the kimchi sample, someone's here. The recording ended. Suddenly 7 seconds. That was all. After that, nothing. No signal. No answer. My daughter had disappeared. At that moment, I realized this was no random accident. Someone was hunting the bacterial strain hidden inside Korean kimchi. At the same time, our servers detected more than 600 hacking attempts. Someone was trying to steal our bacterial genome map, the core fermentation strain, the heart of the research. I immediately shut down the system, but deep down I already knew we were too late. Then an old intelligence colleague called me using a hidden number. His voice sounded shaken. Park, listen carefully. They're using your daughter to get the KCulture data. I clenched my fists. Then he whispered one name, Medipharm. The moment I heard it, my stomach dropped. Medipharm was one of the largest biotech corporations in the world. Unlimited money, political power, private security forces, and now they wanted Korean kimchi. But why? Because scientists had discovered something shocking. A specific bacteria inside properly fermented kimchi was reducing inflammation inside the human brain. Not just reducing it, stopping it. Especially one powerful strain connected to gut health and metabolism. The test results shocked even American researchers. Just 120 milligrams of kimchi extract dramatically reduced inflammation in laboratory subjects. Doctors couldn't explain it. Big pharmaceutical companies panicked because if ordinary fermented food worked better then expensive synthetic drugs. Their entire industry could collapse 2 days later. I landed in New York. The city didn't feel normal. Anymore, the air smelled. Burnt people wore masks everywhere. Emergency alerts flashed nonstop on giant screens. Unknown inflammation spreading hospitals. Overwhelmed obesity-related neurological symptoms. Rising fear was everywhere then. I noticed something else. 3 men in black suits following me through JFK Airport. I kept walking calmly. Years in intelligence work had trained my instincts. Well, so instead of heading for the main exit, I slipped through a maintenance hallway and escaped into the rainy streets. Outside New York looked like a dying city, dark, wet. Afraid my daughter's apartment was in Queens. When I opened the door, my heart nearly stopped. The place had been destroyed. Drawers ripped open, research papers scattered. Everywhere, furniture overturned. Someone had searched every inch. But Min-seo was smart as a child. I taught her never to hide important things in obvious places. Then I found a tiny cloth pouch hidden under the bed frame. Inside was a handwritten note. Dad, Medipharm wants the kimchi culture sample. They're trying to create a fake version. Fake kimchi, fake bacteria, fake medicine. That's when I realized the terrifying truth. The world's most powerful corporations were trying to mass-produce artificial kimchi bacteria without understanding what kimchi really was, because kimchi is not chemistry alone. It is time, temperature, patience, family tradition, the hands of mothers who spent entire winters preparing food so their children would survive. No laboratory could recreate that spirit. The clues eventually led me to an abandoned factory outside New York. From the outside, it looked dead, but fresh tire marks covered the wet ground. Armed guards patrolled every few minutes, and hidden underground was a massive illegal biolab. The moment I entered, the smell hit me. Chemical acid, artificial fermentation, not real kimchi. Real kimchi smells alive, warm, deep, natural. This place smelled cold, dead. Huge steel tanks bubbled with glowing red liquid. One tank carried a label: strain 29, our stolen genome map. They had copied our bacteria, or at least they thought they had. Then I saw something on the floor, a torn white lab coat. My daughter's name was stitched onto the sleeve. Min-seo Park. My hands started shaking. I whispered quietly, "Hold on, Min-seo, Dad's here." Inside the facility, I found a terrified researcher, locked inside a storage room. After I freed him, he told me the horrifying truth. Medipharm had secretly rushed human testing using synthetic kimchi bacteria. They wanted to release an exclusive treatment before anyone else. A $1 trillion opportunity, but something went terribly wrong. Instead of healing patients, their artificial bacteria created toxic neurological reactions, brain swelling, blindness, aggressive inflammation. Thousands became sick, and to hide their failure, they blamed Korean kimchi. Fake news spread everywhere. Dangerous toxins found in Korean fermented foods. Kimchi linked to brain disease. Watching it made my blood boil. They stole our science, then attacked our culture. But there was something they never understood. Kimchi was never just food for Koreans. Kimchi was survival itself. During war, families survived because of it. During poverty, it fed entire generations. It carried vitamins, probiotics, minerals, fiber, and natural immune support. Long before modern supplements existed to Koreans, kimchi was not a trend. It was history. You could taste. May 16th, 8 p.m. Times Square. Thousands of people filled the streets beneath giant glowing advertisements. Above them, Medipharm continued, promoting its fake treatment. But beneath the city, inside, a hidden communication station, I prepared my final move. In my hand was Min-seo's hard drive. Inside it was everything: the real research, the real medical data, the truth. Suddenly, heavy boots echoed through the hallway. Security teams were coming. I crawled through narrow ventilation shafts, carrying my laptop against my chest. My injured shoulder burned in pain, but I kept moving because the world deserved to know the truth. Finally, the upload completed every giant screen in Times Square, suddenly turned black people, stopped walking the city, went silent, then the screens lit up again. But this time they showed reality. Scientific graphs, brain scan, images, lab footage, kimchi bacteria, repairing inflammation, gut bacteria, restoring damaged immune systems. Then Min-seo appeared, on-screen, exhausted, weak, but determined. Kimchi is not just food, she said softly. It is living medicine. It carries balance that artificial chemicals cannot copy. The crowd stood frozen. Then people began throwing Medipharm pills into the streets. Everything changed. That night, using hidden server signals, I tracked Min-seo to a private estate in upstate New York. By then, the truth had spread. Across social media, worldwide, people were furious. When I arrived at the estate, thick fog covered the forest. Armed guards surrounded the building, but fear had already broken them. I cut the power and entered through the basement. And then I saw her, my daughter, weak, bruised, but alive. Dad. Her voice nearly broke me. I grabbed her hand tightly. Then Medipharm's director stepped forward holding a detonator. You think you've won? He screamed. If this facility disappears, the world will still believe Korean kimchi is poison. But Min-seo slowly smiled. Then she opened her mouth and revealed a tiny glass capsule hidden beneath her tongue. The original kimchi, strain pure, untouched. She protected it through everything, even torture. At that exact moment, loud car horns exploded outside. Thousands of New Yorkers had arrived after seeing the Times Square broadcast the truth. Had gone viral. Medipharm was finished a few days later. Min-seo stood before the United Nations representatives from 193 countries, watched silently. As she spoke, kimchi is not simply fermented cabbage. She said it is a living, nutritional system created through generations of human experience. Scientists around the world were stunned. Even foreign researchers admitted something painful. They could copy ingredients, but they could not copy the soul of traditional Korean fermentation. Soon after, Medipharm executives were arrested, their assets frozen, their lies exposed. And later that evening, the American president personally thanked South Korea for helping save millions of lives. But honestly, the most meaningful moment came after all the cameras disappeared back home in Changwon. Quiet afternoon sunlight. Min-seo and I sat together, salting cabbage for winter kimchi. Then she suddenly asked, Dad, why couldn't they copy the taste? I smiled quietly, because kimchi isn't made only with recipes. It's made with seasons, with family, with sacrifice, with love. Machines can copy data, but they can never copy a mother's hands. And maybe that was the real reason kimchi saved the world. So tonight, when you sit down for dinner and see kimchi beside your rice, remember this story, because maybe that small red side dish is not just food. After all, maybe inside it lives thousands of years of survival, wisdom, and human love. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe, like the video, and comment Korea kimchi fighting. And thank you for watching.
Do you remember the night? Tens of thousands of people filled Times Square in New York, cheering as they watched the story of Korean kimchi unfold on giant screens. The night strangers held jars of kimchi in their arms, tears in their eyes, thanking Korea for saving humanity. Medipharm, the giant corporation blinded by greed, tried to create fake kimchi, steal Korea's fermentation strains, and sell imitation science as medicine. But in the end, they collapsed because they never understood one thing. Kimchi is not a formula written on paper. It is living life itself, born from the rough hands of Korean mothers and the honest passage of time. From a land with few natural resources, our ancestors preserved wisdom inside small clay jars. That wisdom restored the broken immune systems of the world. The tiny fermentation strain Min-seo protected with her life was never just bacteria. It was the spirit of perseverance passed down by generations who lifted Korea from poverty and built the miracle of modern Korea with their bare hands. The reason I could survive the darkness of New York and reveal the truth was because the pride and sacrifice of people like you stood firmly behind me. If this story brought even a small sense of pride to those who spent their lives devoted to their families and to this nation, then nothing would make me happier. Please support the pride of Korean kimchi with your subscription and like and leave one comment below. Republic of Korea Kimchi, fighting! To everyone quietly writing the history of this nation every single day, you have my deepest respect, because without you, the great Korea of today would never have existed.